I moved these across the country with me. 3 different apartments. For years, I kept them like trophies I just couldn't let go of. But while packing recently, I realized something I hadn't seen before. These weren't actually trophies, they were reminders of the systems I was working inside. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. And just to say this up front, this isn't about one particular company or team or client. This is about how a lot of systems are designed and function. The topic I want to explore today is how we as leaders shape the systems that people work inside. If this is the kind of work you're interested in, feel free to subscribe. I share more on leadership, burnout, and building better systems. So let's jump on in. These are conference badges, speaker passes, sponsor credentials, and for years, I hung them next to my desk. Each one meant another event, another flight, another late night, another weekend working, and it all felt right, like a visual reminder of progress and success. These were in the box too, handwritten notes from our global CEO recognizing my work ethic and dedication. We received these when we logged more than 200 billable hours in a month, and it was nice, handwritten note. What this represents is these were probably close to 70, 80-hour weeks during those months to reach that billable goal. Big pushes, important work, and those moments really did matter to me. I learned a lot. I worked with incredible people on inspiring projects with world-class clients. Hard work wasn't the problem. But looking back now, I can see something I didn't fully understand then. Workplaces don't just shape the work we do, they shape what success looks like. Whatever gets recognized, people naturally start doing more of. For me, it was almost addictive. I was bummed in the months where I didn't receive one of these tokens of appreciation, and I'd work that much harder the next month to make sure I was on the list. A lot of this is just human nature. We look around and ask, where do I belong? How do I belong? That in-group, out-group bias and social norms can be really strong within teams and organizations. If you see that people are getting ahead and they're working nights and weekends and holidays, that starts to feel like the path you're going to take, to be in that group and have that sort of impact. And another behavior I've noticed and have experienced myself is that when things feel uncertain, we really feel that pressure to act, to stay busy, to keep producing, even when slowing down might lead to better decisions or new approaches to problems. Over time, we can get even more focused on this type of action bias and stop asking, is this working? Is this the best way? And over time, those cues start to shape how we work, often without us even realizing it. There's another layer to this too. In a lot of industries, time is the currency. There's a common idea that time is money. Individuals and companies get paid for the hours worked and billed, which creates a strange sort of tension. Because when time is how we are valued and measured and compensated, action and activity start to look like value, and long hours start to look like commitment. Not because anyone decided burnout was the goal, but because that's how the system is structured. Over time, this can mean more just keeps getting added to our plates. And that's where individual behaviors start to mirror the system design that we're working in. If the system is shaping our behaviors, this is where an opportunity for more adaptive leadership comes in. When things feel uncertain, the instinct is to push harder, more effort, more urgency, more hours. But adaptive leadership asks a different question. Are we solving the right problems? Or are we just doing more of the same, but faster? So working longer hours doesn't always create better outcomes. Sometimes it just creates the appearance of progress. And sometimes the real challenge isn't the people, it really is that system they're operating inside. Sometimes the clearest insights don't come from pushing harder, they come from noticing something simple, hiding in plain sight. In addition to those badges and handwritten notes, there was something else that I had kept and something that made me laugh at the time. It was a sign I bought at the Alcatraz gift shop during a visit in my first few months after moving to San Francisco. A rule from Alcatraz: you will work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, with weekends devoted to recreation. I remember thinking, wow, they only worked 8 hours a day and got weekends off? I'd kill for that schedule. At the time I bought it, I thought it was really funny and hung it up by my desk at work. But over time, as I saw that sign every day and seeing it again now, it really carries a different meaning for me as to the sort of North Star I want and how I want to operate differently. So now when I look at it, it feels kind of wise and something I should hold on to, something I should focus on. The irony is the kinds of systems many of us operate in don't just exhaust people. They also make it harder for organizations to adapt. There's a lot of research showing that after a certain point, more hours don't lead to better outcomes. In cognitive demanding work especially, performance often starts to drop somewhere around 35 to 40 hours a week. And once you push past that, 50 hours plus, much of that extra work you're doing really is a lot less effective. So when people are exhausted, they don't just feel worse, they think worse. Their attention narrows, their creativity drops, they're less able to solve complex problems or see new possibilities. And these are exactly the things organizations say they want more of, especially now as work becomes more complex, more uncertain, and increasingly is shaped by new technologies like AI. Given the uncertain times we're living through, what can leaders do to actually decrease burnout? Because pressure's real, deadlines are real, budgets are real, and the question isn't how to eliminate the pressure, it's how to lead responsibly inside it. A few things make a big difference. First, staff work realistically. If the work requires more capacity than the team has, something has to give. Scope, priorities, timeline, or otherwise it's going to be quality. And leaders have a responsibility to help identify and carve that pathway. Second, protect recharge time. The best thinking doesn't happen when people are constantly depleted by going from one deadline to the next without ever having a moment to rest and regroup. Even after a few days or a week, you can see a big difference. You can get more creative with workflows and approaches like staggering deliverables across teams. Leaders can advocate for that, and they can structure projects in ways that support how people actually perform at their best. And third, think intentionally about what gets recognized. Recognition shapes behavior more than most people realize. Leadership isn't just about setting goals. It's about designing and monitoring the conditions people work within and then thoughtfully focusing on the things that truly matter. For example, recognizing people for their collaboration skills, their ability to operate in uncertainty, their expertise in navigating high-stress situations with integrity and kindness. Whatever those values are that you truly want to grow within your teams and organizations, it's worth calling those out in front of others. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge those who might be watching this video who aren't positioned or empowered to make organization-wide decisions. A lot of people are working inside systems they didn't design and wouldn't necessarily choose. And sometimes those systems aren't open to changing, or making shifts is going to take time. So what can you do? A few things help. Clarify priorities early. When everything feels urgent, asking what matters most can reduce a lot of hidden pressure. That might sound like, if we can't get to everything, what would you want me to prioritize? What does success look like by this Friday? Sometimes just making expectations visible changes how the work unfolds. Protect your cognitive energy. Because constant activity isn't the same as effective work, even in demanding environments, that can look like blocking an hour to focus before meetings start, or taking a real break after intense pushes instead of just immediately jumping to the next thing. Small resets can help you think more clearly and make better decisions. And then look for small ways to improve the systems around you. That might be creating a simple template so your team doesn't have to recreate the same work each time, or something like writing down a process that's been living in your head so others can use it too. Small changes like that add up, and I understand that none of this removes pressure, but these things can make it more manageable and more sustainable. And it's worth saying, these are all forms of leadership too, just expressed differently. And for me, this isn't theoretical. These are all things that I myself have tried. And, this sort of mental gymnastics here about the different forms of leadership really became real about a year ago when my own path changed. I stepped away from that corporate structure and started building something new. And as an entrepreneur, it definitely has its own version of burnout. Late nights, big pushes, building something is really different now. and I feel like there's more awareness, certainly more choice, more intention that I can have about the systems I'm creating. I'm very thankful. I learned a lot from the systems I've operated in throughout my career. What helps people thrive and what quietly holds them back. And this changed how I started to see everything I had been holding on to. As I kept going through the box, I realized something else. Not everything in there felt like a burnout trophy. Some of it looked like this. It was photos, notes, moments with people I genuinely cared about, working on causes that really mattered. And a lot of these things were actually really small. They carry big meaning, and those are the things that I'm keeping moving forward with me. For a long time, I thought success looked like accumulation. More events, more hours, more proof, more trophies. Now I think it's something else. It's about being intentional about what you carry and working where you can to improve the systems around you. And we don't have to keep repeating the same patterns just because they're familiar. The badges can go. The people, the memories, the mission can stay. And the real work of leadership, especially in times of uncertainty, is designing systems where people can do great work without burning themselves out. If you're thinking about how to build that kind of environment, that kind of system for your team, your work, your organization, that's what I focus on through Geode Lifeworks, and I'd love to explore that with you.